What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Singing the Tea. I'm your host, Dustin, singer, actor Lewis. And you already know, sometimes I sing, sometimes I give you all of the reality TV tea, but it's always going to be what you want and it's always going to be what you need. And listen, y'all, I'm coming to you while I am on vacation. I know this reunion recap is a little late, but y'all listen, y'all have to excuse it. I think y'all will. I went to go see Beyonce, so child, we're going to excuse that, okay? Over here on the Singing with the Tea. When mother calls me, baby, I got to go. Okay? And I left my laptop and I was like, dog, I should have brought my laptop on the trip, but I didn't. So here we are doing the episode, the reunion part 1 recap. So we are going to jump into the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion episode 1, season 16 recap. So before we dive into it, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share with a family member, share with a friend, hit that notification bell button so when we do drop something new, you do get all of those notifications when we have some new material dropping. I did record a video of me. It was a karaoke. Well, a friend of mine recorded me at karaoke, and I'm thinking about posting it. I might post that. But just be on the lookout if something else comes to me like within the next couple of days, just to give y'all some more information. But I'm glad to be back here with y'all, doing the Singing the Tea, doing what we do. Now let's jump into these housewives, shall we? Now, we're talking about reunion part 1 for the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16, and I think the episode was okay. It wasn't anything like mind-blowing. I think that it was okay. And, you know, we already know off the top, Britt is missing in action. Like, the ladies don't know that in real time, but we do, of course, because this takes place, like, so much after all of that dropped. So we are here. So we're seeing the ladies arrive at the venue, and you know, everybody's arriving. We're seeing the ladies, and then we see Porsha, baby. She already was there. I don't know if Porsha stayed the night there or what Porsha had going on, but Porsha was in her room knocked out, just sleep, baby. I don't know what Porsha had going on, but she was knocked out. So we see Kelly as well getting ready in her room with her glam squad, and they have on glam squad t-shirts because, you know, she didn't want anybody to get her glam squad confused with anybody else's. So while we see everybody getting ready and doing the little segments there, we see Phadreaparks with an old beat mug going over to Brittanyeady's room, and she knocked, she opened the door, baby. She looking, she don't see nobody. Don't see nothing. She don't see nothing, baby. She just see walls. That's it. Walls and light fixtures. That's all they had in the room, baby, because it wasn't a soul in sight. Girl, Brittanyeady was nowhere to be found. So Phadreaparks said, Phadreaparks had to clutch her robe, bring it on in. She sat there, pondered for a minute. She was like, well, let me go around here to Porsha room. Porsha might know where she at. Child, she knocked on Porsha door. Porsha in there knocked out. Lights out. Porsha in there just laid across the people couch sleep. Phadreaparks said, nah, you going to have to get your behind on up. Cause this is not what we signed up for. And I'm going to be real. Porsha, you had time to sleep. You had time to be on time. Cause I don't understand why y'all was that doggone late. And we're going to talk about that too. So as you know, Porsha and Porsha and Phadreaparks are having a conversation. We see Cynthia walk in the room. And as she walks in the room, you know, Porsha's calling Britt to figure out what's going on. Like, where this girl at? She talked to us the other day. She said that she was going to be here. What's going on, allegedly? Child, she sent Porsha straight to voicemail. That's what Porsha had said. We don't know what's going on, but we know what's going on now. But at the time, we ain't know what was going on. Child, I'm saying it like I was there. I wasn't there. I ain't know what was going on with these ladies. Now, we see Andy Cohen walk out there, and, you know, Andy is getting ready. You know, he's sitting down. He got on his suit, his little blue suede suit or whatever. And Andy's like, okay, you know, we getting started. We see a line that say 2.5 hours late. I'm going to say maybe they were waiting on Britt to get there or thinking that she was going to get there, because I'm not understanding why they were 2.5 hours late. That's ridiculous. And Bravo, y'all need to stop finding them. Every time that they late, y'all need to give everybody who got the Peacock subscription, y'all need to give us 1 month free. And y'all charge it to all of these ladies who be late, because that's ridiculous. And then we see Drew 3 hours late. That just don't make no sense. What y'all was back there doing? And Drew, I hate to say it, you ain't look that good. You really ain't look good at all. Now, I ain't gonna go too hard on you, Drew, because I really liked you this season for the most part. But you looked at a hot, funky, moving mess. You really did. You look sweaty. You look oily. You look greasy. You had that squiggly all the way down here. That is not what the Lord meant for you, Drew. You as a woman of the cloth, and that is not what he meant. That wasn't the cloth that he tied you up in. I don't know what type of cock feathers you went and dazzled yourself in, girl, but that is not what he meant. Now, you know, I already did a video recap about the fashion, so if you want to get into the fashions of this reunion, go and click the link for that. I'll try to post it in the link of this one or tie it together so you can go and get into the fashions. But, you know, Porsha just does it for me, baby. Porsha just does it for me. She ate this reunion down. She really, truly did. And speaking of Miss Porsha, you know, she's talking to Andy. You know, they're catching up because this is her first reunion, because this is her first season back. And, you know, she said she got Coco and Chanel. She got them an upgrade, baby. She went and got a little tire rotation. She got a little oil change done on the chest. And she's looking good. You can say what you want to say about Porsha. You can do what you want to do. Move on to the next question. It ain't changing over here. Porsha look good. Porsha look good, and it ain't no denying it. The lady look good. This shirt look wrinkled as hell, and it's not. I pressed it, y'all. I swear I did. I don't know what's going on, but she looked good. So, you know, we have the ladies talking about Britt not showing up. You know, they let the ladies know that she's not going to be there. And I have to agree with essentially everything that the lady said. I think that, you know, she likes to play the villain and the victim. I think that she's caused a lot of strife this season. I think that she's thrown a lot of rocks and hit her hand. And I think that this would have held her accountable a lot. And she would have had to atone for a lot of things that she said on the back end. But we won't get that because she didn't show up, unfortunately. So I hate that she didn't show up to the reunion. I was really, really, really looking forward to Britt being there and her holding her feet to the fire, to be real, because she definitely needed to be there, because there was a lot of things that she basically said and started, and I don't know if I fully believe all of the things. And speaking of believing all of the things, you know, she was telling Porsha some of the information, and Porsha said she spoke to her, and Porsha was saying she made it seem like she was going to be there. They were talking about what husbands and boyfriends were going to be there, and she didn't show up. So, you know, Phaedra says that she kind of heard the same thing as well. Drew said that she talked to the girl, and allegedly, you know, she let Drew know that her lawyers will be in contact with her because she finna take Drew to the cleaners on something, allegedly, y'all. Allegedly. I don't know. Drew says she hasn't heard from anybody, allegedly. So, girl, if you ain't coming to the reunion, keep it on the playground because we ain't got nothing for you. Good riddance. But I do wish she would have been there to hold her accountable. So, Andy asked Phaedra, you know, what the inspiration was for her outfit. And Andy, I don't know. She looked like a Ferrero Rocher. She looked like a Godiva. She just did not look. And I love those. Those are delicious. Delicious and tasty. She looked beautiful, but she didn't look tasty. She had too much going on. That was a cute outfit if you were going to the beach. That was a cute. I said I'm going to get into the outfits. I'm going to just leave it there. She looked a mess. She said she was inspired by the Jib Jab, and she was inspired by a fool. A fool in love. Why do fools fall in love? Phaedra should know the answer to that. So Andy was asking the ladies, you know, the first time was like, hey, this is y'all first time as full-time housewives, and some of them first season period, you know, asking them how their first season went. And when Angela was like, you know, I've met a lot of people and they are hot too. Angela was a hot lady, baby. One thing I will say, I can connect with Angela on that. I don't know what it is. I will be hot. Y'all probably see me start sweating on this video. I just get hot all of a sudden. So, Angela, I feel you on that, girl. But that was really funny. That was hilarious. So after Angela says her piece, you know, we get a little segment from Kelly. Nothing too major. And then Shamia leads us with a beautiful prayer. And I already knew as soon as she led with that prayer, it's going to be some mess. I love the Lord. He heard my cry. And he heard their cry too for some mess to happen. Because that's basically what we about to... Y'all excuse me, I'm filming in an undisclosed location, and child, I don't know what's going on out here. Ooh, child, just ghetto. So, we see Cynthia come out, right? So we see Cynthia come out, and she looked beautiful. I think that they brought her out early because Britt wasn't there. That's what I thought. But it was really weird because I felt like Cynthia wasn't there at a certain point, and I don't remember them saying, like, oh, thank you, Cynthia, for coming out. I don't remember anything like that happening. but she wasn't there. Oh, Porsha was talking about, her theme and what she wants to do is basically move forward with everybody, be truthful, be honest, move forward or close some doors if that needs to happen. And we can definitely see that going on with this reunion. So going back into the Cynthia piece, when Andy was talking to Cynthia, and I will say I loved Cynthia in this friend capacity. Like, I love Cynthia so much that it was kind of like, why don't we just make her back full time? But I think the friend capacity really worked for her, and she seemed to really enjoy it. And Cynthia did such a good job. Like, she was truly, like they said, the glue that kind of kept everything moving and kept everything together, holding people accountable, stating her opinions, but still being like, hey, this is how I feel about you. This is how I feel about the situation, but we can still move forward and we can still be good. So I think that she did a great job this season, and I really, really enjoy 50 Cent this season. She did such a good job. So shout out to you, Cynthia. Loved it. Now, we get into we get into Porsha's package a little bit, and she gets emotional when she starts talking about her cousin Lundy and the passing of her. And she talks about being able to film in her I'm spitting all over the place. She talks about being able to film in her marital home. Thought that was great. The house is stunning. It's beautiful. And Andy starts asking her some questions about her marriage, about Simon, and he asked her about Simon being detained. I know y'all saw that. He talks to her about Simon being detained by ICE. And, people are essentially saying that Porsha possibly did that. And I'm going to tell y'all, nah, I don't think Porsha had anything to do with that. I don't think so. He allegedly was detained by them. I think that it has not been back in the country since then, allegedly. So I don't really know. I don't think Porsha had anything to do with that, though. I really truly don't. But it's nice that she was able to film in home. He asked her if she still loves him, and she said yes. She does still have some love for him. And I can believe it. I can believe it a little bit. But she talks about having a good prenup and how, the home was purchased, before her, but the way the prenup was set up, baby, that's marital property. Porsha, I know that's right. You better get it, baby. And once you get it, get some more. Porsha do her big one. So during, this conversation, Andy was asking Shamia, hey, were your husband and Simon friends before they got together? And, she said that they were cool. They were cool or whatever. They knew who Simon was, but, they did kind of want Porsha just to make sure everything is straight before you marry him. And Porsha said it took about 9 months before the prenup was set and good to go. So, she felt like she did her due diligence, but, there was still some things that she was just unaware of. Now, I don't know what was going on between Kelly and Porsha, but Kelly and Porsha would just edit this episode. It was crazy. They were edited in a way that was it wasn't too nasty, but it was just kind of what's going on here? Something is up here between them two. And speaking of that, they were asking Kelly making a comment about, oh, did you take that lady's husband? And Kelly said that she wasn't, she didn't have any malicious intent. She had good intentions. She was just trying to figure out what was going on. Kelly, I'm going to say this. You were being messy. And it's okay that you were being messy because let's be real, all of us wanted to know. Fallon kind of talked about it a while back, allegedly. So, you asking the question in the way that you did, in the setting that you did, it was messy because it had nothing to do with you. And you trying to figure out if she took this lady's husband, she can't come after you. You and your husband already divorcing. So you bringing that up was messy, and I would have had more respect if you just would have stood 10 toes down and just been like, I'm going to be real with you. I just wanted to know what this he was. Instead of no, I was coming from a good place. Girl, please. That's the thing, and I felt like you were trying to just play on our intelligence, and you should have just owned it, girl. In my opinion, just own it so we can move past it. That's it. Just own it, so we can move past it, because I think that a lot more viewership will have more respect for you in that moment, because you are the fans really like Kelly. I really like Kelly. I just didn't like in that moment you trying to downplay the situation and make it seem like, oh no, I was just really, just truly just trying to figure out what's going on. Girl, you weren't. Keep it a buck, you weren't. And it's cool. So, when Porsha said she felt like there were some similarities to, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically she was saying like their relationships had some similarities. Their divorce, between Kelly and her husband and Porsha and Simon. And Kelly kind of took offense to that, and she was saying like, you're comparing apples to apples and apples to peaches or whatever it was. Another thing, Kelly, I felt like you did too much in that moment, because from what I took from it, Porsha wasn't saying that y'all had a exact replica of each other's relationship. What she was saying is that there were parallels to your husband putting stuff out there about you. Her husband is doing that as well. Her husband was financially, possibly allegedly abusive, like all this alleged, I don't know. And your husband allegedly did stuff to you financially and physically, right? So she wasn't saying that it was an exact comparison. She was just saying that there were things that y'all discussed in kind that were similar to what each other were going through. And that's it. And I don't get why that was a hill that you're willing to die on, because it wasn't that deep. Even Porsche was just like, girl, okay, I think I made my point. Like, because she kind of did. Now, I'm going to give you that, Kelly. You kind of ate her up a little bit. When you said that 11 months versus 11 years, you kind of ate that up. But I do feel like you were doing just a little bit too much. It was not that deep between y'all two for you to do all that. Like, it just wasn't. Like, I think that you just came in hot on that for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why. That was a little bit much. Now, they asked Porsha about the comments that she made about Charles and wanting to, have relations with him. Now, Angela brought up, and Porsha was saying, we and her, she kind of apologized to me because she brought up the Simon situation, and why would I do that to that lady's husband, and blah 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 blah. And Angela said, whoa, baby, not too fast. We're gonna go over this real slow. And she said, Angela basically was like, well, Shamia, and how they kind of got here, I don't have it, I can't remember exactly, but basically, Angela was saying, Shamia hooked y'all up, you and Simon. Shamia was like, no, I didn't hook them up. Now, Shamia, there was a post online. Like, there was something online. I feel like the Shade Room, one of these places, like, reposted, like, a comment. Like, it was you and Porsha were having a conversation under one of the pictures. And she said matchmaker, or, like, matchmaker of the year, allegedly. Something like that. Like, that's out there. So, and then by Porsha just, like, not agreeing and just saying no off the top, it seems like there's something there. Like, there really seems like there's something there. When they rolled the tape back, we didn't see Shamia say it. But we can do research and we can see, like, that there are some messages, there are some things out there that allegedly can allude to Shamia did kind of hook them up. I'm just saying, Shamia, it does kind of, you ain't looking in the best light in that situation. My thing is, girl, once again, if you did, yeah, I told my friend, like, girl, I think he'll be a good guy for you. Just keeping it a buck. Porsha eventually says no, but let's be real, ain't none of us believe in her. None of us are believing Porsha. None of us are. Now, when Porsha had brought up the house, and then Kelly was like, that man's house, it just was like, Kelly and Porsha, what y'all got going on? Next season, we need to figure this thing out, what's going on between y'all. So, Andy was asking Porsha about Dennis, and somebody submitted a question and asking, will they give Pilar a younger sibling? I actually think that they should consider that. I think that it'll be good for them. I think that they have a good co-parenting situation. I think that they're in a good place. And possibly maybe getting back together at some point. I don't know. I'm just thinking what I think that could happen. I could see them getting back together, but yeah, I don't really know. So then, that conversation about him segues into the Drew situation in that storyline. We're not going to harp on this storyline too much because we've been there, we've done that. It's not that deep. I don't understand how it got here. The biggest takeaway that I have for Drew is that you let this situation overtake the importance, which was your music. I think that you let this situation overtake your music, and I haven't listened to your album. I think that you allowed a lot of people to make your album a joke, because let's be real, nobody was looking at Dennis like, oh snap, you got to work with him. Nobody was looking at him like that. And then to have all this drama attached to it, like, girl, I think that it was too much drama associated with your music. I heard that your album is really good from a couple of people, but I wouldn't even let them do this and play with me like that. I would have shut it down from the top. I would have, and then you were saying like, oh well, I can't help where the cameras are. You kind of know if Drew, like, you going to the studio, right? You will know if you're going to film with him or not. Like, you would know that. So I think that, once again, just trying to play on our intelligence, y'all, and we're not dumb. Like, y'all know who's going to be in the studio. And I can see if it would have been like a group scene and he's there and you didn't know that, that's different. But you going in the studio and you are working with him and he's not going to be there, girl, you know he's going to be there. Like, come on, keep it a buck. Keep it a buck with us. So, Shamia was making a comment, and I'm going to be real, it kind of got lost because she jumped in. Drew called her like a little lapdog. But Shamia seemed like she was trying to help Drew out. But then Porsha and Shamia started getting into it a little bit, and it got real murky. It was clear as mud, and I don't understand what was going on there. Like, it just was like, oh, okay, I don't really know. But Porsha gets up and she apologizes to Drew. It was a little awkward when she got up and she hugged her and she apologized. I'm glad that she did it. One thing I will say, it is very rare in some of these instances for us to see these housewives apologize. So to see Porsha do it and apologize for, like, state, I was wrong for doing this. I did it because I was being petty. I was wrong for filming with Ralph. I was wrong for how I handled this situation during the season. And that really bothered me. But I was just in a bad place. I appreciated her doing that because that is hard for a lot of these housewives to do. So shout out to Porsha for doing that. I know it's crazy, but shout out to her for doing that. Shout out to her for doing that because it never happens. So they are asking Kelly. Andy asked Kelly about the fallout between her relationship with Britt. And basically they talk about the whole team situation. Another situation, I don't see it being that deep. I can understand you eventually telling your friend like, hey girl, you got to get your own team. But for y'all to have been as close to friends as y'all led us to believe, why wouldn't there have been a conversation? That's the biggest thing when it comes to a lot of these situations on these shows. Y'all make it seem like y'all are these great friends. But then y'all will let this one situation have y'all completely fall out, completely not talk to the other person. And it makes y'all look bad as well. Like, it doesn't make... Britt ain't the only one at fault in this situation. She's really not. And, Porsha speaks on some of the things that Britt told her allegedly, and she lets her know that there was an apparent alliance between Kelly, Shamia, and Britt. But Shamia was like, hold on, Porsha, you was wrapped up in that alliance as well. Yeah, we had dinner. I told them not to go too hard on you because of, she's a cool girl. Y'all got to get to know her for who she is. Here's the thing, though, with that. Was Porsha aware that she was a part of that alliance? The only reason I'm asking is because of the situation between Kelly and Porsha on the first episode. That was a bit much to me. Also, Porsha wasn't there. So, like, was there a conversation had to Porsha, Shamia? Like, did you have that conversation with her? Or did you just tell the girls, like, hey, don't go too hard on my friend? Because, like, yeah, you can be like, you were a part of this alliance, but did she know that she was a part of that alliance? Or did you just be like, hey, I added my friend a part of this alliance as well? So that part I was a little confused on. But it's a shame that they did have the alliance. I don't know. I don't know if Porsha was fully aware that she was a part of the alliance, but I feel like Porsha reaped the benefits of the alliance. So whether she knew that she was a part or not, she was aware. I feel like Porsha was aware of it. Like, maybe she wasn't like, just like, oh yes, I'm a part of this. Yes, I'm going to sign up. But she was aware of it. So I think that Porsha was aware that there was a alliance. I don't think Britt had to tell her that. I think that she knew. So one thing I will say though, I have enjoyed Kelly. I have enjoyed Shamia. I sometimes wonder if their friendship is a friendship out of convenience. And I look at how quickly Kelly switched on Britt, And it has me worried about Shamea, because Shamea, you will allow yourself to be played by people. Look at your relationship with Porsha, right? And I love Porsha down, I love Shamea, but like I can understand how Shamea, you can let people kind of take advantage of you a little bit. And I hope that is not what's going to happen, because I really, mark my words, y'all, I can see them falling out. And I can see it being very, it's not going to look good for Shamea if they fall out. Because I feel like Shamea has vented and has sent Kelly certain things. And Kelly might expose her. I don't know, but I can see it happening. I can see it happening, y'all. If it happens, mark this day. But I can see that happening. So, they were asking Kelly about her having security. Which, looking back, it was weird. She had security everywhere, that big man. And you know, she said that she needed it for her security. Porsha was like, you know, we know why she needed it. Yes, she said she needed it from her husband, but did she just need it for the show? Because it didn't seem like her husband was looking for her. I did think it was weird in the moment that she always had this security with her. Now, didn't know Kelly prior to this. I don't know what Kelly's situation was. Now, we did get some glimpses. It does seem like her ex was a awful person from what we've seen. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she needed security all the time like she did. And honestly, that was a big man. That man wasn't going to do nothing. You should have had you somebody a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more flexible, a little bit more fit. Coming from a fellow big back, we needed somebody more fit. I know I can't have nobody the same size as me. Ain't nothing but both of us big, baby. Baby, we're going to both be tired. We need to get somebody a little bit more fit that can hold up a little bit longer than us. I can get a couple of licks in, have to sit down, take me a break, and then I can switch. We can tag team. But girl, yeah, that man can't help you. He can't run. Where he going to run to, girl? Please. So, they were asking Kelly about her divorce, and she said that she spent about $200K in the courts. And basically, you know, Kelly's saying that she owed about $100K in unpaid interest and funds for the restaurant, allegedly. Kelly, that is wild. That is wild. And Kelly, you made a comment, and Drew, shout out to Drew for holding you accountable for this. And Drew was just like, you saying like allegedly successful when it come, or whatever you said, seemingly successful when it came to Britt and her finances, and you didn't really seem to know what she do. Kelly, just be careful. Be careful, because allegedly it's saying they out here saying that you owe on a credit card. Allegedly you owe this $100K of funds for the restaurant. Now I did hear, I think that you got it open, so shout out to that. But girl, just be careful. Be careful. It's a slippery slope, and it's just one wrong move. Especially, we've been seeing that a lot with these newer housewives. They'll come on here in the season, next thing we know, they in jail. So Kelly, be careful out here. Just be careful. Be mindful and be careful. Because if you and that girl were as close as y'all say y'all was, you know what she was doing. And if you kept her around, you was okay with it. So, all right, just keep that in mind. But shout out to Drew for clocking in and clocking that tea. Because Drew see what was going on. Drew was like, now hold on now. Hold on. Now I ain't cool with the girl, but I see what's going on. Let me take a sip of this water. I see what's going on. All right. Now we finally get into Angela's package. And, you know, basically the part that we're going to talk about here is the dude showing up to her event and the dude alleging that her husband was cheating. All right. Angela is dead set on Phaedra doing it. Y'all, I don't think Phaedra did it. I don't think Phaedra did it. And I understand that the dude's from Athens, Phaedra's from Athens, the dude's mom is friends with Phaedra's brother. Cool. Great. I can tell you right now. And they went to the same high school apparently. I can't tell you probably half the people I met yesterday. I definitely can't my brother's friends. I don't know all my brother's friends. Now, I know a good amount of my brother's friends. Same thing with me. My brother hasn't met all of my friends. So that does not, just because you're friends with my brother or friends with a family member, that doesn't mean that I know you. I don't remember a lot of people I went to high school with. I have worked with people I have went to high school with, and we'll be in a conversation. I'm like, yeah, we graduated together. I'm like, we did. And I don't mean that. It's not a shady thing. It's just like, I went to a large high school. I don't know how large her high school was. But especially if you're not even in the same grade, it is very possible that y'all have not crossed paths at all. Very, very possible. There are friends that I have that are friends with people that I went to high school with, and we've never intersected. So I don't think just because they went to the same high school and they're from the same area that they automatically know each other. I don't feel like that's just the best analogy, Angela. And I'm with Andy when he says like, okay, but he was saying that these other women did it. He was saying originally that it was I don't know if he said Drew or Kelly, but now he's saying that it's Phaedra. I don't believe, dude. And I think that you are putting too much on it. I think that it makes sense. The easiest person for him to choose was Phaedra because he probably knows who Phaedra is, and he knows that Phaedra was from the same place that he was, but that doesn't mean that Phaedra knows him. It just doesn't. So, and I think that Phaedra could have just done some quick research to be like, oh, wait, his mama cool with my brother. Like, here's the information, girl. Like, here you go. Because I know she said that Phaedra gave her some info. I don't know. I don't think that Phaedra did it. She would have to give me some more hardcore evidence, but just saying that they went to the same high school and from the same area, that's not enough for me. And y'all, that's essentially where it ends. And I think the part 2 is going to pick up at this spot because we definitely got to dive into this a little bit more because where we left off is just not making sense. And I don't see Phaedra. We know Phaedra has done some wild stuff, but I don't see Phaedra doing that just out of the blue, just randomly to her for no reason. So that's where we're going to leave off on this recap, y'all. So next episode will be coming out. I will be able to get it out a little earlier next week. Still on vacation, but I should be able to get it out to y'all a little bit earlier. But with that being said, we're going to end the video here. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share the information out there. If you are new here, definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell button. So every time I drop something new, you will get all of those notifications. But thank you for joining me on Singing the Tea. Until next time, have a good one, everybody.